think this is the right thing. Miss Young, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, should I wait a little bit? Also, heads up, guys, we're going to do a live lesson today. So you're going to need this to do your geometry assignments. And if you're in the middle of something, that's okay. I'd recommend listening now or at 12 when there's another live lesson. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, here are some Zoom reminders. Make sure your video and your audio are off, and you're allowed to ask questions in the chat, and there will be another teacher to answer questions. All right, so today we're going to be talking about equations of a circle. So this guy, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So in this equation, the h and the k, those are just coordinates. So the center is at point h, at point hk. H is our x and k is our y. And then that radius is just r. So looking at this picture right here, I know it's kind of small for you guys that are in the classroom. So what would this equation look like if the center was at the origin? Does anyone know what the origin is on a coordinate graph? Yeah, do you know where that is on a coordinate plane? The origin, like what point? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, perfect. So it would be, let me go ahead and write this out. Yeah, so the origin would be 0, 0. So that would just make our h 0 and our k 0. So if we were to plug this into the equation, I'm going to write this right up here. It would just look like x minus 0 squared, because again, that 0 is our h, plus y minus k squared, and our k is 0 again. And that will give us r squared. And then if we want to simplify this, because again, x minus 0 squared, we can just write that as x squared. So I'm writing in a room, I'll write it right down here. Plus, and that's, okay, right here, it's supposed to be a 0. So again, that would be just y squared, because the 0 doesn't mean anything here, equals our r squared. So let's go ahead and look at an example. Okay, so first identify the center and the radius. So let's go ahead and do that. Can anyone tell me what the center would be? So what our h and what our k would be? Yeah, so it's at 4, 1. And again, that's just our x and our y coordinate. Alrighty, and then can anyone tell me what the radius would be? Yeah. So the radius is 3. Can you tell me how you got the 3? Yeah, perfect. So you said you just square root the 9. Because again, in the equation, it's equal to r squared, and that is just 3. So let's go ahead and graph that. So our center is at 4, 1. So over 4, up 1. That's our center. And we know our radius is 3. So it's going to go over 3. Grab a point right there. I'm going to go for a few points just so it's easier to draw. So I'm going to go up 3. And then down 3 from this center point. And then same over here. Now I can go ahead and draw my circle. All right. So there we are. All right. So now let's go ahead and look at this example. So can anyone tell me the center for this equation. Yeah, so someone said -2, -5. And that's a little different than the last one. Can you tell me why it would be -2 and not just regular 2? Yeah, so in the original equation, it's x minus h squared, and then y minus k squared. So if this is a positive, that tells us that this value has to be negative. I'm going to go ahead and write that out, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So x minus our h, because again, our original equation is x minus, and then y minus -5. And then, again, if these being negatives, it's going to change to positives. So that's why we did -2, -5. Can anyone tell me the radius? Yeah, 5. And then how did you get 5? Yeah, so we square root this value over here. Because again, in the equation, it's r squared. And to get rid of a squared, we're going to square root. So let's go ahead and graph this. -2, -5. So that's our center. And our radius is 5. So we're going to go ahead and go over 5 for 1 point. And again, we're going to want a few points just so we can graph the circle. So that's 4. Here's 5. I'm going to go down 5 for another point. And then to the left 5 for another. And then I'm just going to connect and draw my circle. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this example. This one looks a little different as well. Does anyone know what the center would be for this equation? For x squared plus y plus 7 squared equals 7. Yeah. Yeah, so he said 0, -7. How did you know it was 0? Yeah, he said because there is no number with this. And it's very similar to what we did in the first problem when they're at the origin. Yeah, so right here. So that's how we got 0 for this example. And then -7. Again, in the original equation, it's negative. So we know in order for this to be positive, this value has to be negative. And does anyone know the radius for this guy? All right, so the radius for this one is going to be square root of 7. And again, that's because in the original equation, it's r squared, so we just have to square root it. So let's go ahead and graph this one. So 0, -7. And then, so our radius is for root of 7, so we know that it's going to be between 2 and 3. So I'm just going to do a rough estimate here. Our points right here. And then again, I'm just going to connect them to form a circle. All right, so this example is a little different. We're given a circle, and now we need to find the different parts of the equation. So let's go ahead and find our points for our center. Can anyone tell me those? Yeah, -2, 2, perfect. 2, 2, and again, that's going to be our h and our k. And then does anyone know our radius? Yeah, yeah, perfect. So our radius is going to be 3. So you guys go ahead and fill out your information or what's given to you, and then we'll go from there. So now we can go ahead and write our equation. Can anyone tell me what that's going to be? Yeah. Yeah, x plus 2 squared. Yeah, and then y minus 2 squared. And then what about our r? floats. Yeah. So it would be 9. So again, because this is r squared, we have to square our value for our radius. So here is going to be our equation for the circle. And again, this is a positive 2 for x plus 2 because of this negative right here. And in the original equation, it's negative, and negative, negative make a positive. Good, let's go ahead and look at another example. We're given a circle. Can anyone tell me what we're going to start with? Yeah, so find the coordinates and then find the radius. So do you know what that center point is going to be? Yeah, perfect. 3, -5. Now, what about our value, our radius? Yeah, it's going to be 4. Now I can go ahead and write our equation because we have the information that we need. Does anyone want to share that, or does anyone know what that would be? Yeah, x minus 3 squared. Yeah, perfect. Y plus 5. Yeah, and then someone said equals 16. And how did you get the 16 again? Yeah, so again, to get this 16 for the arc, he just squared his value for the radius. So he did 4 squared. And 4 squared equals 16. So here is our equation for this circle. All right, guys, and that is our last example. But just a recap, can someone tell me the equation for a circle real quick? Yep, x minus h squared. Yeah, perfect. And this equals r squared. And again, guys, our h is just our x coordinate for the center point, and our k is our y value. All right, and then when you're given a circle, you guys are just going to find your center point and find your radius and go from there. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you guys. Feel free to email us or ask us questions, and we will be here. Also, guys, there's another Zoom call tomorrow, so go ahead and log on to that, and it'll be offered at 9:40 and 12.